going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to our Friday night live stream. My name is Dak Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host Matt Llewellyn, and we're excited to break it down. We weren't able to bring any episodes of Niners news to you guys, so we're doing it live. How you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm good, man. Yeah, we keep trying to use Niners news. We keep trying to record on the regular. It's just life happens. We've been busy, man. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I figured rather than not do anything, we're gonna bring you a live show.
Yep. So we're excited to be here. If you guys are here, like the video, share it, subscribe real quick, get the word out. What's up, Spinic Danger? Thanks for tuning in. So I think the biggest news that I could think of, Matt, at least recently, was that report, and take it for what you will, that Deshaun Watson's top two teams were the 49ers and I believe, was it Miami or Denver? I forget which exactly it was.
I don't know. It depends on which unreliable source you believe. So
that's true. So how much weight do you put into it? And do you think the 49ers end up moving on it? I mean, it's the same story.
It feels like Watson's going to go somewhere. I feel like he's going to dig his heels in. It just depends on what they're going to be able to get for him. He's still going to command a high price no matter what. But it's just going to depend on whether or not the 49ers are willing to pay that price. And again, we get this whole thing where we kick the rumor mill into gear and everybody on Twitter starts getting super excited about stuff. And it's like, hold your horses. Nothing's happening yet. And you need to really figure out who's saying what, even you can't even believe the blue check marks. Cause what's his name? Greg Simony from ESPN came out today with a story saying Todd McShay said that Zach Wilson wasn't a captain at BYU, even though every single screenshot of him has the captain C on his jersey, and Troy Warner and the rest of the captains and the coaches said that he was. And I mean, this is after McShay came out and said that Deshaun Watson wasn't that much of an upgrade over Sam Darnold. So even the blue check marks you really have to look out for, especially if they're from ESPN, because ESPN has fallen to, I think Stewart in our chat said they're falling to Bleacher Report levels. When you get there, you're doing it wrong. So, yeah, it's really, really going to depend on what the Texans can get. But I do think the longer that they wait, the less leverage they're going to have. When it becomes more and more clear that they have to move him, teams aren't going to pony up as much to get him.
Yeah, I think Rich Simony, or however you pronounce his last name.
Yeah, whatever his stupid name is. It took me 2 seconds to do a Google search. I typed in Zach Wilson BYU, and the first image that came up was him with a captaincy on his chest. And I'm like, really?
Yep.
Not even a 2-second Google search, dude? Come on.
Yeah, I thought that was a bit clown-like behavior. It's one thing if you're quoting someone, but if you're quoting them and it's clearly false, you could say, by the way, this isn't true.
Yeah.
It's tough. And like you said, Troy Warner, a bunch of other players kind of came out and said, this isn't true, one, and two, I wouldn't go out there and, lay my body on the line basically to protect him if I didn't feel he was, worthy of that. And if he wasn't, fighting just as hard as I am, and if he didn't respect the game as much as I do. So I just think it's tough, especially when, these words have weight, especially around draft time. You might cost one of these people.
Well, they have weight with people on Twitter. I don't think any GM's looking at Rich Simony and going like, oh, better not draft Zach Wilson now because Todd McShay says that he wasn't a captain. You know what I mean? Like, this is peak smoke season where people just put stuff out. They nitpick. I'm sure there's going to be, somebody's going to say, oh, Trevor Lawrence has to have surgery on his left labrum, so now he's a medical red flag. And it's like, well, that's his non-throwing shoulder, so who really cares? Like, come on, man.
It's a bunch of nonsense. I just think that the fact that Watson, like you said, these rumors and reports are kind of just that, rumors and reports, but 49ers are one of the top teams he's willing to go to. The whole debate, Matt, I don't know if we've had this debate live or even in a video, is that there's untouchable players on the 49ers, Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, George Kittle, etc. Matt Mayoko recently did a pod, and he was basically hinting at, none of these players are untouchable, and one of them might get moved. One, are you willing to part with any of these players in return for Deshaun Watson if that's what it takes?
Any of them.
Two, do you think the Niners agree with you? Do you think they view that same stance?
Probably. I mean, that the thing is, here's the thing though. Are they going to be able to add relatively you don't want to give up Bosa, right? And then still give up like 2 or 3 first round picks. That becomes a little too expensive because now you're talking about a guy who, if you think about the Jalen Ramseys, the Matthew Staffords, stuff like that. Nick Bosa, and I know people, again, 49ers Twitter being out of control. Oh, well, Nick Bosa has 2 ACL tears, so, what if he's not able to come back? I'm already watching the dude squat. Like, he's already doing stuff. He's going to be fine. Like, he's an animal. So, it just... And first of all, by the way, let me talk about a surgeon who Barrows quoted as saying that it was more significant than an ACL tear. I don't know if I believe that. Because first of all, that would be the doctor breaking HIPAA. He's not allowed to say that kind of stuff. So I don't believe that.
Yeah,
I think that it was straight. And considering what I've seen on tape of him rehabbing, it looked like a straightforward ACL tear. And so he's going to be back. But you're telling me that Nick Bosa is not worth 2 number ones. So why would you give up extra on top of that? That's just where I'm at with it. So if you can, the most likely one that you would move would be Kittle. I mean, he's the easiest one to swallow, right? Like, it's just like, yeah, it sucks because he's the heart and soul of the team, but at the same time, he's a tight end, so that really doesn't hurt. I hesitate giving up Warner just because he's so good, and I hesitate giving up Bosa. But if it turned into, Deshaun Watson, of course, you got to do that. Quarterback is by far the most important position on the field. It's just that is how it is. So
I agree.
That's where I'm at with it.
I've kind of tweeted out earlier as a joke. Think of a hypothetical situation where someone's, has to get rid of their Ferrari. Maybe their wife is making them sell it. I don't know. And they post a post on Craigslist and they're like, hey, I might be willing to trade this if something of equal value comes up. And somebody's hitting you up and they're like, hey, I got an 04 Civic. Let's do the trade. And then you're like, well, you got a nice, Range Rover right there. Why don't we trade for that? Well, I can't give up my nice car. It's like, yeah, come on, man. You can't give up something, not to disrespect any of these players, but it's like, look, Eric Armstead and, whoever other these, lower players, that's not going to get the job done. If you want a blue chip player, you likely have to give up a blue chip player in return.
Exactly. Yeah, that stuff doesn't come cheap. And I think this is the 49ers Twitter GMs who were like, trade them a second round pick for OBJ, like to the Giants or whatever. It's just like, this isn't Madden. And I feel like we do this all the time where people think this is Madden and you can just trade whenever you want, wherever you want, for whatever you want. And there are implications on the back end. If you're going to trade a premium player like Deshaun Watson, you want a premium return. And if you wait too long or you underbid, you run the risk of somebody coming in higher. I mean, we saw it with Matthew Stafford, where if you believe the reports, the 49ers offered 2 2s and 2 3s. And then the Rams said, no, we'll give you 2 future ones, Jared Goff, and a third this year. Well, of course. I mean, what are the Lions going to take? Now, they should have taken the Panthers reported offer, which was way better. It was Bridgewater, 8th pick overall this year, and I think a 5th. That would have been a better trade, but, that's it. It is what it is. So, yeah. I don't know. If I had to guess, I don't think the 49ers are going to pony up the necessary capital to get Watson, if I'm being honest. I think it's more likely that they try to maybe stall out and see if somebody like Trey Lance falls in the draft and then pick him up.
I think that's fair. Rolls Royce, what's up? Thanks for tuning in. All I have to say to this is, they traded DeForest Buckner last year, and people are already making kind of the parallels to right before a contract is due. Fred Warner's going into a contract year. The parallels are there. They're known to kind of, hey, if it's not going to work out for them, maybe they move on a player before they get nothing in return. I don't want to see them do it, but it might happen.
I think that's different, though. I think it's a different situation because with Buckner, you also had Armstead, who was coming up on a contract too. So you were going to re-sign one of those guys. You couldn't re-sign both. And so that's where I think the difference is. So you had to pay Kittle, and then you had to pay one or the other. And I think they took the guy that they felt like they could sign reasonably, which it was still really expensive, but it definitely wasn't Buckner money. And then you get Buckner to the Colts for the 13th pick, and you turn that into Javon Kinlaw, who hopefully can, reproduce or step up in a second year to kind of fill that hole that Buckner kind of was. I don't think he's going to be Buckner this next year, but if he can just build upon this first year, then they're going to be okay. And I think they'll take that. But Warner's I don't know. Warner's a different situation to me. One, he's not going to command as much money as an edge rusher is gonna command. An elite defensive lineman is going to command. And two, I mean, what would you really give up for him? Like if they were going to trade him for Watson, by all means. But if they were going to do like a Buckner for like a draft pick, I don't see what the move there would be.
True. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I feel like, I don't know, Warner, I think out of the three, it probably goes Bosa, Warner, Kittle in terms of value that they can get back. A-Stat, go get Sam, have him compete with Rosen, 2 first rounds in our system battling. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean,
here's the thing, though. If they go get Sam Darnold and they get rid of Jimmy G, they're basically signaling to the fan base they're not trying to win the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
And I don't think the fans would be okay with that. I think everybody would be pissed off about that.
And do you know, the whole thing with Sam is that he's cheaper, but his contract is going to be due. His rookie contract, I think, only goes through next year. So then after that, they have a decision to make, and he won't be cheaper then. So,
right, they're going to be back in the same position. And like Steve is saying, you have to give up draft picks to even get Sam Darnold. If you're going to give up draft picks and take a quarterback, then just give up draft picks with 12 and move up and get a rookie quarterback who's going to be under contract for 5 years.
Yeah,
that makes more sense.
Yeah. Real quick, shout out to Inspector Dabbit, custom tumbler. He came through. Shout out to Warriors World for the sucker free hoodie. Go support those guys. The whole Sam Darnold thing I think is interesting. Obviously, Robert Saleh is now the head coach of the Jets. There's a connection there, a really good connection with Kyle. If he feels comfortable, maybe they make that deal. But yeah, you got to give up picks. You got to make a decision at the end of the year. Is it worth it in the end? I don't know. Is it a net positive?
Here's the thing, though. Here's what makes more sense. That the Jets let it rock with Sam Darnold for another year. Mainly because Robert Saleh's in the first year of his tenure, and he's going to have a little bit of rope, right? So it makes more sense for the Jets to trade out a number 2 with the 49ers for 12, maybe a future 1, maybe a mid-round pick, right? And they get more draft capital. And then the 49ers can go up and get, Wilson, Fields, whoever they think, is good, rather than the other way around where the Jets draft a quarterback and then try to pawn Sam Darnold off on the 49ers. It makes less sense to do that for the 49ers. Might make more sense for the Jets, but for the 49ers, it's like, well, we're taking on a quarterback that we have to give up draft capital for, that is only under on contract for a short amount of time, that already comes with some baggage, right? That, what's even the value on Sam Darnold? Why not use that to move up to number 2? For me, that makes more sense because you get more time. And from the Jet side of it, if you let it rock with Sam Darnold for that year and it doesn't work out, well, then you're going to be in a position. I mean, the Jets are bereft talent. Even if Sam Darnold plays better, they're not going anywhere. Like this first year, they're going to be near the bottom again. That's just how it's going to go. And so you can actually be in a position where you can draft your guy next year. And now you start to build that guy. And then you all of a sudden have 2 first rounders because the 49ers gave you another one to be able to move up to 2. So that makes more sense, I think, for me.
Mm-hmm. What's up, JLE? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah.
Having a good Friday so far, man. Glad to be live with you guys.
I was watching, me and my wife just finished the Night Stalker documentary on Netflix.
It's good. It's
pretty rad. And then we were starting the one about the Hotel Cecil in Los Angeles.
Yeah. We watched
that one is not as good to me. I feel like they're trying to stretch it out too far.
And
I'm just like, can we move on a little bit?
It's good. It's funny. Last night, Ash and I were on, I think, the 2nd or 3rd episode, and we get home really late from work, which is why we haven't been able to record. But we basically eat and then watch something and pass out on the couch, and we passed out. And this isn't going to spoil anything, but there's a part where they're showing this really creepy music video of this artist who stayed there, and I woke up like in a daze, and there's just this creepy music video on my TV blasting, dude. Yeah. Scared the hell out of me. I thought I was in a dream. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, you guys. Like, share, subscribe, the whole 9. Trade for Watson. I'm going to keep saying it until it happens. Hey, man,
if you can manifest it into existence, why not?
Yeah. You saw that guy Wilson. You saw guys. You guys saw Wilson.
Dude, that was such bad, shoddy reporting. Like everybody's roasting Rich Simony over that, and it's well deserved. Like that is a trash report. And here's the thing: they're letting Todd McShay off the hook, but I'm not going to, because Todd McShay was actually the one that said it, and he was reporting on it. So yeah, for me, I'm just like, come on, dude. 2-second Google search to get an image of Zach Wilson with the captain's C on his chest. It's just like, come on.
And you know what's funny too is, within minutes, people were in the comments showing pictures of him in, with the captain's logo.
With the captaincy, yeah. And then Troy Warner's like, I was one of the captains. He was definitely a captain.
Yeah, and he never corrected it. He never replied to his tweet and said, "Oh, looks like this is correct, by the way." Nothing, just left it as is. So I thought that was hilarious, but I guess what can you expect? Can you guys break down Dee Ford retires affect the cap?
If he retires, they have to pay that salary goes immediately on the cap for this. I think they can spread it over 2 years, but that cap hits. So the best thing for them to do actually is to get to April 1st, and if he's still injured, conduct an injury settlement with him to kind of like lower that cap hit. Because I do believe part of his contract is injury guaranteed. So there's a problem there if he really wants to play hardball, but hopefully they can negotiate a settlement and get out of the contract that won't impact that cap too hard.
Yep. That would be the best case scenario. I don't know, maybe I'm negative. I don't see him playing another snap with the 49ers. Hasn't been any updates on him that have been positive.
Yeah, that like the way that his back injury went, it was really weird. Really weird. It was weird.
Like neck back
to upper back. And here's the thing I didn't know at first was that he had previously had a back surgery in that area. So so what I'm thinking, I believe it was a thoracic fusion. And so what happens sometimes is you put extra pressure on the level above or below. So if he has a problem there and has to have another fusion, he's going to have to retire. Nobody with a double fusion has ever played in the NFL, and it's not advisable to do so. So if that happens, he's definitely going to have to retire, and that's when they do that injury settlement.
That's rough, man. I'm not touching
guys.
That one.
Yeah, listen. Should he have had another shot? Yes, but at this point, it's been years. It's not going to happen. And even if it did, we're talking about years of rust coming off of seasons where he was benched for people like Blaine Gabbert. So, good luck to him. I'm glad he's doing his social programs. I think he's starting a new venture for that. Best of luck to him in that. But as far as like football goes, like it's time to let that dream die, guys.
I don't think he would even be interested in it at this point. I think he's moved on. Clearly, I think it's time's over.
Yeah,
Antonio
gotta let it die. All it does is start to piss people off when people bring it up. So like, why do it?
You know what's funny? I was thinking the other day, and I was gonna tweet it out, but I'm like, I don't really want the heat for it. The Kaepernick discussion reminds me of like trading Jimmy this year. Maybe not as heated, but bringing it up, it's like you have such a divided fan base where half of them are like, "Are you stupid? No, Jimmy's this, Jimmy's that," and then the other half are like, "Dude, just look at him play. Even when he does play, he's not that great. Ever on the field." It reminds me of a couple years ago when you couldn't even say the word Colin Kaepernick without somebody being in your mentions all one way or another.
We like to stay in the realm of realism on this show, and realistically, Colin Kaepernick's not going to play in the NFL again. For better or worse, if you agree or disagree, that's just the reality of the situation.
Cowboys tag Dak Prescott, and the 49ers can trade a first-round pick for him. Dak Prescott is worth it. I know you're not as high as him as others, Matt. What do you say to this?
Dak Prescott's not a top 10 guy, so like Dak Prescott has had weapons. He had the best O-line in football. He had Amari Cooper. He had Ezekiel Elliott at his peak, and they didn't win anything. So now he's coming off a significant leg injury. I don't know. I don't know that the price tag that Dak is going to command, especially talking about tagging him, which would be his second tag, which I think puts him at I can't remember what it was. I think it was almost $40 million guaranteed.
Yeah, it's high.
For 1 year. And then you have to sign him long-term, plus give up a first-round pick for him. It's not worth it. Again, trade the extra assets to move up and get a guy you can control cheaply for 5 years. That makes more sense.
Much rather do that. Ace Daddy, trade down and get a defensive end. If no quarterback falls, get lost in a free agency.
No
Invest in
more
pass
edge
rush.
in round one. No edge in round one. Stop it. Not 6 years in a row. This would be the 6th year in a row.
You know what? Here, you know what? I'm gonna Google it real quick. The fact that this, and not disrespecting you, Ace Daddy, at all. It's a common thing where people, for some reason, think the 49ers still need to continue to draft edge rushers with their first overall pick. I honestly don't get it. I feel like they've addressed the defensive line enough where they could maybe focus on other rounds, other positions.
If you keep pouring resources, draft resources, first round capital into that position, and you still have a need after 5 years, you're not doing it right. It's time to move on and do something else. There are bigger holes in the offensive line. There are bigger holes in the secondary. One could argue that we need more depth at the linebacker spot. There are other areas where you definitely need, more. I would rather see them draft another first round wide receiver than I would another edge rusher.
Yeah. I can't find a funny picture, but I was going to say, it reminds me of the guy at the gym who just works out his biceps and nothing else.
Right. The guy with all biceps and no legs. Yeah.
Yeah. No legs, no triceps, no deltoid, nothing else, just biceps. That's what the 49ers are if they keep addressing their defensive line only. JLA liked how Larry Johnson. I didn't see that.
Didn't see it.
Nick Bosa, 1 first, 12 overall, and a second at most for Watson. Otherwise, we'll with Jimmy.
I would actually do that trade. Nick Bosa, number 12, a 2, and Jimmy. Throw it in there. Why not? I would do that.
While we're on this topic, defensive lineman J.J. Watt got released. Any chance he comes here, Matt?
Personally, I think he's going to go play with TJ in Pittsburgh, if I had to guess. But I mean, there's a potential that he could want to come here. It's really going to matter what his price tag is. Is he going to take a discount to go play for a competitor? And if he was willing to do that, why wouldn't it be, a Kansas City, or why wouldn't it be a Baltimore or something like that? Right. I think that we're in that no man's land where we have the potential to be really good, but I don't think at this point in time that we're free agents are going to be clamoring to come play with the 49ers who just finished 6-10 and have turmoil at the quarterback position. Now, if JJ Watt was still on the free agent market and the 49ers traded for Deshaun Watson, I definitely think he would be about coming here, and he would probably take a steep discount to do so. But until the Jimmy Garoppolo situation, the quarterback situation gets figured out, I think fans need to temper their expectations on how desirable a free agent location the 49ers are, considering how many free agents we do have and how up against the cap we're going to be. I just think that's not realistic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've kind of going back and forth where he's going to be too expensive, but at the same time, maybe he's willing to put money aside to chase a ring. But then at the same time, are the Niners his best opportunity to do that? If he's going to sacrifice money, he likely, like you said, can go to a team that has a better chance of winning within the next year or two. Still too many questions here.
For me, it's I think the most likely place he end up is with TJ in Pittsburgh. And if not, I think maybe he waits, sees where Deshaun Watson goes, which I still think the most likely place for Deshaun to go is Miami. And then, I mean, I don't think Mrs. Watt would be too upset about moving down to South Beach. So
not at all. Did you see, by the way, that speaking of wives having a decision, Kyle Juszczyk recently came out and said that the reason why he picked the Niners over the Bills is because his wife didn't want to move to Buffalo. And she said that she would move to California. So he called his agent and he said, hey, if you can get the Niners to match my offer that Buffalo gave me, I'm there. And the Niners did. So shout out to his wife.
Dang.
It's a funny story. He could win. He wants to win. Comment here. I've been seeing this name a lot. I haven't gone through any of the quarterbacks really, Matt. Mon from Texas A&M. What do you think about him?
Project guy. Has really good physical tools, but adds a lot of quirkiness and erraticness and inconsistency to his game that really needs to be worked out.
So basically you're saying
he's a mid-round guy. He's a mid-round guy. He's not even close to Patrick Mahomes.
I wonder if we can convince. I assume this is about Russell Wilson. Have you seen the reports that, he came out saying he's unhappy getting hit so much, and then all these teams.
I'd be unhappy too.
Yeah,
I'd be unhappy too. He didn't say that he wants to leave Seattle. He just wants to be a part of decision making going forward, which is exactly. That's what Deshaun Watson wanted to do, And then McNair's told him that he could do it. And then they just said, nah, I don't think so. But I think Pete Carroll's enough of a player coach guy. And I think that John Schneider knows enough to be like, okay, this is our bread and butter. Russell Wilson's our guy. What would you like to do? And he's going to be like, draft an offensive lineman, you fools. I'm tired of getting hunted down and smashed on, you know?
Yeah. You know what cracked me up is you had a franchise guy like Russell Wilson is in Seattle. How much does it hurt you to just let him make a pick? You know, it's if I was the Niners, or excuse me, if I was Seattle, you know, front office and coach, yeah, whoever the hell you want, pick. Take a third rounder. I don't care.
Let him pick the first rounder. Their first round picks suck.
Yep.
Rashad Penny, everyone?
Not drafted well.
Rashad Penny?
Not drafted well at all. To keep him happy, yeah, they really should. You know, I really don't get it. Rosen might turn out to be a better quality backup.
By the way, Charlie Baker, thanks for all the very profound analysis. Nope. Okay.
Nope.
They're over the cap right now, but what are they going to be like going forward? Because I know at least in Pittsburgh, they have people coming off the books.
Nico Wilson. Alex Smith has the qualities we need right now. He can do everything Jimmy G can do with ball security.
Alex is going to retire, to be honest.
Yeah. I wouldn't doubt it.
I don't think he has it anymore. I mean, he played okay for Washington, but like even by Alex Smith standards, he was very limited. He won them some games, but part of what made Alex Smith a really good, you know, mid to upper level starter for, you know, Kansas City and even towards the end of his 49ers run was that he was actually sneakily athletic. And I think that leg break really sapped that out of him. And now you have a guy who is captain checkdown and can't move. So I don't know. I think he's done.
Yep. Rolls Royce. Yeah. We both really like Zach Wilson. He would be really, really cool with the 49ers.
I think he fits the system too, what they want to do.
They'd have to move up though. That's 100% for sure. There's no way he falls to 12, unfortunately. On nothing special. Steve, no chance. Yeah, whatever. Let Wilson get tricked for 49ers. Yeah, no. I don't think they'll get moved at all.
That's like the people that were trying to say that Indianapolis should trade for Deshaun Watson. I'm like, they're not trading him in division. Like, just stop with that.
Yeah. No. Live mock draft soon, Matt?
We should. We can do that like next weekend.
Yeah. Comment if you guys want to see that next week. We can get that done.
You know what we could do? We could go through and let you do one where you pick like all the rounds, and then we'll go back through and I'll do one, and then we'll compare and kind of dunk on each other for our terrible picks.
We'll fight it out to the death. Trask could start day one, but he would be great in 2022.
Kyle Trask is the most overrated quarterback in the draft. He's 6'6" with a noodle arm.
He's got the opposite of quarterback face, but for quarterback body.
Yeah.
He's got the most average looking body. It's hilarious.
I mean, Tom Brady did too, but like I've watched Trask. I've watched film on Trask. I've watched Trask games towards the end of the season when who was it that Florida played? It was the bowl game. Who'd they play? Oklahoma, I think. I think it was Oklahoma. He got exposed, man. He got exposed. He's a guy with no arm. He's like, he can do stuff at the college level because receivers are open and he has a stud in Kyle Pitts that he can throw the ball to, but the trajectories on his throws over the middle are really flat. He floats deep balls. I don't like it. And he's a guy that's he didn't start in high school. He didn't start in college until last season. So you're banking on a guy that has one college season under his belt as a starter that never played. I mean, yeah, it's one thing if you have, because I mean, you know, there are other players that only had 1 year, but to not even start in high school, I mean, you were stuck behind De'Aaron King, I think, that at Houston. You were stuck behind him in high school and you didn't even play. Like, I don't know. If he's there, Patrick Surtain, if they don't take quarterback.
Yeah, I think he would help out the most, I should say, if not quarterback. Do it, mock it up. All right, next Saturday or next weekend, definitely. Saturday or Sunday, not sure yet.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah, so make sure you tune in for that. Kyle Trash.
Kyle Trash, yep.
Trey Lance. You know, Matt, I know you're not high on him. Small school, lesser competition. From what
I'm not high on him in comparison to the other three.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I think that he has great physical tools, and some of his highlights have popped off. But it's like I really would have liked to see the growth from 2019 into 2020. And because he didn't really play, we didn't get to see that. I think he has, again, a lot of physical tools, but he's a guy that I think that would be, other than not Kellen Mond. I know you said the Patrick Mahomes thing with him. I think that's more apt for Trey Lance. He's definitely going to have to sit and figure some stuff out. And again, if you draft Trey Lance with Jimmy G in front of you, Jimmy G becomes a lame duck. And do you really think that, like what is the goal at that point? Are you trying to win it all, or do you run the risk that Trey Lance turns out to be the next Jordan Love, where he can't really play, can't really beat out the starter? I mean, we don't know what we got. I think that he could be good. I think he needs to go to the right place. I don't know that the 49ers are right, but if that's the only option at 12, I don't know if I would mind seeing him at 12.
JC Horn, the best quarterback in the draft, definitely the most physical. He's, from what I've read and seen, a little too grabby. He would get the way he plays, he would get tons of holding penalties in the NFL. Mac Jones could be a second to third round guy. Lance is Big Ben with more speed. Wow. I guess we're nerds.
Lance is young Big Ben with more speed. Well, let's hope he doesn't treat women the way Big Ben did.
I knew you were going to say that. I like Surtain more. Surtain's good, man. He would help out the Niners a lot. He would help out a lot.
I think Surtain fits what the 49ers want to do more than what JC Horn does. So he's not as big. Yeah. I think Horn's like 6'2". I think Surtain's like 5'10". But again, it's not just size. Like Ahkello Witherspoon has a lot of size, but we saw how that turned out. So
that was an interesting ride with the 49ers, up and down much. Yeah. Surtain's great in man coverage. He would, I feel like more
He's
and more.
He's good in zone coverage too. He can play off ball.
Sold on him. I would not be mad if that's the way the pick went. I would be actually really happy. I think a lot of people are kind of set on this, quarterback or bust, basically. I don't know. I feel like we're all going to get our hopes let down, our hopes crushed if that's the kind of mentality we have going into the draft. There are a bunch of other options. The team, unfortunately, has a couple of big holes, and there are a couple of ways this could play out, and it would still be good.
I think this is a really unique year for the 49ers. So, because I feel like for the last couple years, we've really been able to, and especially mock drafters too, have really been able to kind of pin down what the 49ers were going to do. So 2017, we were definitely, they definitely had us pinged on Solomon Thomas. 2018, 2017, 2016, 2017, 2018, they definitely had us pegged for, Mike McGlinchey. 2019, they definitely had us pegged for Nick Bosa. And last year, I saw Javon Kinlaw well before the draft. And it turns out that they pretty much draft predictably.
It's really
this year,
weird.
I've seen mock drafts all over the place. So I don't think anybody knows where they're going.
Yeah, it's really weird. Last year when the whole Javon Kinlaw mocks kept coming out, I know I, for one thing, kept saying there's no way they take Javon Kinlaw, another lineman. They took him. And I was, a little bit shocked. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think they'd address the defensive line yet again, but they did. This year, like you said, it's up in the air. Nobody really knows. This office doesn't really leak like that. Tilt their hand one way or another. So I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. But Nico, I apologize if it's Nico Wilson, Matt. I know you're really high on Rosen coming out of UCLA. What do you think of him now, a couple of years with his NFL career?
I'm confused. I saw glimpses of it when he was at Arizona. I don't think he got a fair shake, but at this point, you kind of wonder where his head's at because he was always allegedly the head case anyway. I think this is probably the best opportunity that he has to really resurrect his career. It'll be interesting to see, but I think that he's a better backup than either Beathard or Mullins is going to be.
Yeah, he definitely, at the very least, has way more upside. If one of them, forbid Jimmy gets injured and Rosen has to step in, who knows? That could be, the start of someone's career. I'm not betting on that, but I really liked him. I honestly thought he was going to be the best out of that draft class. I was high on him coming out of UCLA as well. you almost never see teams move on as quickly as, the Cardinals and then the Dolphins did from a first round pick. I mean,
he got thrown to the
crazy.
trash heap real quick.
He did.
Yeah, maybe he's just a dick.
That's what I've heard. People aren't high on his personality. Kind of seems like he's know-it-all type. I don't know, man. I think he could really help the 49ers.
You've seen Step Brothers, right?
Yeah.
He's got a very punchable face.
He really does.
I don't know what it is, but I just want to punch you in the face.
He really does. There was a comment here. Shulo, does Kyle have to hit this offseason?
He's running out of chances. I think the excuse. I know they've had a lot of injuries, but you kind of after a while you run out of excuses. It's time to produce. So, yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
and of all people, I believe Grant Cohn wrote an article sometime this year talking about the cardinal sin, which was passing up on a quarterback when he first came to the 49ers in the draft. We both talked about this. It was not enough time to go through all of them. I still think he could have gambled and drafted one. He could have taken one, the next year, whatever. He didn't do it, but that has come back to bite him.
Well, here's the thing. People go, oh, well, he could have had Deshaun Watson or he could have had Patrick Mahomes. He also could have had Mitch Trubisky.
Yep.
And when you don't have enough time to do your due diligence, that's the risk that you run. And I don't think that he would have been happy if he would have been stuck with Mitch Trubisky. So if that's who he tied his wagon to, he'd be in a lot more trouble now. That's easy. Hindsight is always 20/20. It's very easy to criticize. But my contention was always that he couldn't be hired until after the Super Bowl. And what happens 2 weeks after the Super Bowl? The Combine. So you have no time to prepare. So
my question for you, and maybe everybody in the comments too, let me know what you guys think. Would you have been mad if he took a shot and it didn't work out, as opposed to not taking the shot at all because he's not 100% sold on any of them yet?
They did take a shot. They took a shot the very next
in the first round. That first year that he came in.
Okay. So again, this is hindsight. You're talking about 2017, where he passed up on Deshaun Watson, right?
Would you have been mad if he, with the lack of knowledge, lack of time, if he gambled and said, I'm going to take one of these guys that I think might be the best, and it doesn't work out, would you have been mad at him for taking that shot?
It doesn't matter if I'd be mad or not. It matters if Jed York would be mad or not. It matters if he took Mitch Trubisky in that first round, did the 49ers get to the Super Bowl last year? Probably not. Right? But instead of risking the first round guy, he went 9 weeks and then traded for Jimmy Garoppolo for a second round pick, which at the time everybody was like, oh crap, that's a really good deal.
Yeah.
Because earlier in the season when the reports were out that New England wanted to move on, I believe that Cleveland offered a first and a second for Jimmy Garoppolo.
It's true.
And Bill Belichick said no. And on the day of the trade deadline, he called San Francisco, so the opportunity kind of fell into their lap. That's a fairly different thing. Now you're talking about acceptable risk, because now instead of the second overall pick in the draft that turned into the third, you're talking about a second round pick. So to me, again, everybody can look back and say hindsight and that they should have taken a quarterback or whatever. But really, I mean, they didn't. Again, their 2017 draft was their worst draft, and it's because they could not do the research on those picks. There's a reason why that draft has been by far the one that they've hit on the least. So,
yeah, for me, I feel like if he would have taken a shot, I wouldn't have been mad. But I agree with you. That's a really good point. They likely don't
really believe that,
try
though?
to acquire a quarterback.
Do you believe that 49ers Twitter wouldn't have been pissed in 2020 if we would have drafted Mitch Trubisky and been stuck with him?
I don't agree with that, but I don't agree
They're
with
still pissed about the Solomon Thomas pick, and that's way less impactful than the quarterback.
They are. But you made a good point in that if they say they drafted a quarterback with a lack of knowledge, lack of time to review, they take Mitch Trubisky for whatever reason. That likely prevents them from trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. You have a rookie quarterback. They don't get Nick Bosa. They happen to have a few more years trying to work it out with this guy. They're likely in a similar spot without a successful season and a Super Bowl run. So it's tough to say, but I just feel like at the time and looking back with the benefit of hindsight, they probably did as best as they could. Although I think we both could have told them Solomon Thomas wasn't a great pick, but at the time they probably saw it as a safe pick.
I hated Baby Hands. I hated him. I hated that pick.
Yep. John Lynch will go back to the broadcast booth, and Shanahan will go back to being an OC if they don't right the ship with the 49ers. Time's running out. Maybe not a year.
I do think that Lynch gets the axe well before Shanahan does, though.
I think so, too. Harbaugh had more winning seasons than Shanahan, and both of them lost Super Bowls. Harbaugh inherited a fantastic roster.
Fantastic team that had been criminally undercoached by Mike Nolan and Mike Singletary.
Yep. It's true.
For as much as you want to talk about bulky team ACL and stuff, and I know that's, drunk Scott McLuhan, those guys put together a pretty awesome team.
Yep. Patrick Willis, competent Alex Smith, Crabtree. They had a nice Joe Staley, Navarro Bowman. They had a nice foundation already there.
Alden Smith before he fell off the rails. They signed Justin Smith in free agency. They signed Carlos Rogers to be in the secondary. They drafted Deshaun Goldson. They had a bunch of moves that they made. They signed Hittner.
Yep, Dante Hittner. Yeah, that was a fantastic sign.
Yeah, it was a really good team, dude. So,
They made a lot of good moves, and the roster that he inherited versus the roster that Kyle Shanahan inherited, completely different, night and day.
Right.
Shanahan got the scraps, a couple of nice pieces, and some of them on their way out, like a Joe Staley.
Yeah,
completely different. Did we just got Patriot with New England being good in New England and not elsewhere?
I don't think anybody. I think the potential was there, and I think that people got hyped up that Bill Belichick was like, okay, maybe we, the rumors were maybe we move on from Tom and we keep Jimmy and see what we have with Jimmy. So I think that really hyped people up. For a second round pick, I mean, we got a Super Bowl out of Jimmy Garoppolo, so but we got more out of Jimmy Garoppolo than we've gotten out of Dee Ford.
Oh yeah, that's granted not saying much, but true. I feel like at the time it was a great move. Like you said, second round pick. If it works out, you got your franchise quarterback. I just feel like it's easy, like we've said, to look back on it now and say that wasn't the best move. However, if he doesn't get injured, pre-injury Jimmy was a lot more mobile, a lot more decisive. He didn't kind of pat the ball and stutter as much. Who knows, man? It's a totally different story if he just doesn't get injured. Pretty team-friendly contract. We need a shutdown corner. Harbaugh walked into a talented team. That's right.
Yeah, we can skip down a little bit. A lot of these are just talking about what we've been talking about. Come down to A-Statty. Yeah, he especially with Reuben Foster. A-Statty asked us too. Would we take a flyer on Patrick Peterson and can we trade Armstead? Armstead has a big cap hit. I don't know that we can trade him.
Yeah, he's not going anywhere.
At least not until next year. His cap hit comes down a little bit. The problem with Patrick Peterson, does he still think that he's a shutdown corner, and does he want shutdown corner money for a guy who's clearly past his prime? That's the big question. I'd take a flyer if he was trying to be affordable. So,
yeah, no, I would too. I think he's still, at the very least,
he's good.
Yeah, he's good, and I think the leadership qualities, if you're bringing in a lot of young guys to your secondary, drafting a couple, maybe drafting one like a Surtain, bringing a Patrick Peterson who could be that Richard Sherman type role to a younger guy, that would be really beneficial to the team. And the 49ers, I wouldn't be mad at it as long as he's not trying to get, cornerback one money, because that's not him anymore. Josh Rosen, for some reason, wide receivers drop his passes. If you watch his play, you'll see he throws dimes, especially in Arizona.
That's because Arizona's receivers sucked outside of Larry Fitzgerald that year. They were bad. I actually agree with that. I think Barrett would be the cheaper signing.
Yep. No thanks on Peterson. Can we win the division with Jittery G?
We did the one season he started full for us.
As long as he's there.
Health is going to be a big thing. That's really going to be the big one.
It's true. A lot of people try and compare it to, Matt Stafford back when he was rumored to be traded to the 49ers. He's not better than Jimmy G. You got to compare that to who's here. And this season, Jimmy wasn't here. So
Right.
you could say he's not better than Jimmy, but is he better than, CJ or Nick? Yeah. And that's what the 49ers were dealing with last year. So if Jimmy can't stay healthy, which he hasn't been able to do, Matt has pointed out many times, he's missed more games than he's played with the 49ers. That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Peterson is washed. Even Kittle was dropping passes last season. Kelsey Eagle Butterfingers.
Hey, guess what, guys? Tight ends sometimes drop passes because they're tight ends. They're not wide receivers.
Should we sign Max at center and move Brunskill back to guard?
I assume he means Alex Mack.
Oh, okay.
I actually think that's one that you can almost kind of predict is going to happen. I do think Alex Mack is going to sign with the 49ers. Yeah. And it'll be a relatively team-friendly deal. I'm thinking like a 2-year, $11 million deal or something like that.
Dude, imagine finally getting quality, healthy, consistent center with,
he doesn't even have to be like, he doesn't even have to be prime Alex Mack. He just has to be better than what we got last year.
I mean, we had completely guys that we signed off the street the week before starting at center this year. So Hronis Grasu, I think, started a game or two at center. It was ugly. It was ugly. Trent, LT, and Mac at center. Do you think Trent comes back?
I think he's priced himself out. The minute he was like, we couldn't get a deal done, and I really, for the first time in my life, want to see what my value is on the free agent market. Yeah. Immediately to my mind, I'm like, he's going to Indy because they have a lot of cap to burn, and they can just throw it at him. And Anthony Costanzo just retired.
It sucks, man. But, I mean, it was a nice 1-year rental. It sucks that they couldn't do more with it. Even healthy Jimmy isn't good from what we've seen. He's regressed every season.
We haven't seen enough of him to say that he's regressed or not regressed. He had 5 good games in 2017 that I think actually – so I went through and I watched those 5 games, and I think that people are having a little bit of the rose-colored glasses when they look back on him because he was still making those damn Jimmy throws where you're just like, where are you throwing that, dude? And he got away with it. So really, I think that just the chances that he was taking caught up to him as people got tape on him and saw what he liked to do. Excuse me. And I think that those 2017 games, if you really hold them up to, 2019 Jimmy G, it looks awfully similar in how he's playing the game.
Yeah. I think it's hard to say he's regressed when, I don't know, too many quarterbacks that can kind of get into a groove and getting into that mid-season stride when they're not playing consistently. Spinic danger, if Jimmy G's health is important, isn't fixing O-line offensive or the priority? I totally messed up that question.
Yes. Which is why all these people saying draft edge, I'm like, shut your mouth. No edge.
Respectfully.
Right. Now don't overdraft at 12, right? Like if you don't like anything that's at 12 and you're thinking O-line, then trade back. Yeah. Go get a Creed Humphrey at 22 or God, I'm the guard from Ohio State. I'm blanking on his name right now. Go and get him for it, in the 20s or whatever.
Yeah.
There are ways.
I'd much rather they go offensive line than defensive line in the first round.
Yeah.
Let's see. Browns, Falcons, Shanahan history. Yep.
Yeah, that's Alex Mack right there.
Jimmy G throws interception at the worst time during games.
I don't know that he throws them at the worst times. He just throws them at, like, we can just predict that he's going to throw them.
Yeah.
Just like, it's been 4 drives since he's had a pick. I think he's going to throw one here, and then inevitably. Yeah. And really, the one area where I think that Jimmy has to really, really, really work on is that he fumbles the ball a lot too. He has to hold on to that, especially on blindside pressure where they wrap around and smack the ball out. He really has to be a lot better at securing the football. Thanks, Hung Fat. You're the dude or the chick, whatever.
Trent Williams is gone as well. 49ers need to trade for Orlando Brown if they can't keep Trent Williams. That's another name.
Too expensive.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Baltimore's going to ask for a lot for him.
Yeah. Can't see Trent leaving. We'll test the market, but he resigns with the 49ers. He wants to be with Shanahan.
I bet you a piece of merch that he's gone.
It's a nice bet. I take it. Sign Mac, draft Slater, go safety slot. Darius Washington. He's Tyrann Mathieu type, says Ace Daddy. Ravens tag Orlando Brown wants to be traded. Yep. If you guys do mocks,
that's the name, Wyatt Davis.
If you do mocks, you guys should tweet them at us. 49ers Hive. We'd love to see them. We can go over some on the show. By the way, I was totally thinking, and I've tweeted this out, we should start doing like a 49ers meme review edition. Just have some fun with it.
I know. People need to send us funny memes. We'll review it.
If you guys have any funny 49ers or football-related memes, send them our way. We'll do a new segment, 49ers Hive meme review. Nico Wilson let go of Trent Williams for cap space, pick up 2 decent linemen, then sign free agents that we need to keep, as in Verrett, etc. I mean, it definitely frees up some room, but it's at a cost. Buckner, Armstead, Thomas, Kinlaw, all inside defensive linemen. Bosa is the only true defensive end. A speed rusher in free agency will be nice.
Yeah, but you're still pouring a ton of capital into the. Yeah. And by the way, when Armstead was coming out, he was listed as a defensive end. And Solomon Thomas was listed as a defensive end or defensive tackle. So they're both supposed to be edge. We all knew Solomon Thomas was a tweener with baby hands and undersized for defensive tackle and not athletic enough to be an edge. They still took him at 3 anyway. I mean, that's whatever. All right, watch.
All right, bet. Screenshot this. Other teams going to let quality players go. Everyone's going to end up with 180 cap. Yeah.
Yeah, and again, if they don't get rid of Jimmy G, then they're going to be really up against the cap. So
Jimmy G is underrated as well. He's just Andrew Brown. Also, I think mentally he's messed up as well.
I don't know. I don't get that.
Maybe I'm missing something. Give me a nice corner for.
That would be nice.
Team my
Mad Mutt team. There you go.
Can't go wrong. Corner or O-line at 12?
I'd rather see corner at 12. O-line, if you're going to draft, trade back.
Yeah, same. Did you see Nick Wright 4-team trade scenario? I did not. I try to avoid Nick Wright at all costs.
Nick Wright one? Yeah, no. Nick Wright is HIV.
I was going to say cancer, but close. Will Hyder be back? I don't think so. What do you think, Matt?
I'm 50-50 on that. I think he's going to want big money. I don't know that people are going to do it off the back of one good season.
Yeah. I mean, Coach K is still here. I think
he would sign a short-term deal as like a prove-it sort of thing.
Do you think he would go to New York if not here?
I don't know. I mean, everybody's going to tie every ex-49er to the Jets. But honestly, if Hyder didn't sign here, he'd probably sign in Seattle. Let's be real. That's where he's going to go.
That's true. That's true.
Where all the 49ers go, Seattle.
Yep. Save 24 mil, moving on from
problem
Jimmy.
Is, what are you going to replace him with? So if they don't do anything in the draft with Jimmy G, they're obviously going to keep him. So we have to know before the draft what they're going to do with Jimmy G. And by the way, that's not even to say that Trent Williams doesn't sign. He can sign before the draft. So they're very limited in what they can do. If Trent Williams signs before they determine what they're doing with Jimmy G, they're going to lose out on him anyway. So
paying Armstead instead of Buckner was a mistake because Buckner is living up to his contract while Armstead isn't. Matt, you want to address this?
They were able to pay Armstead less and get another player out of not paying Buckner and trading him. They were going to lose one of them either way. It just that again, hindsight. I think we all knew. I think we all knew that Armstead overperformed in a contract year, but I mean Buckner's making Aaron Donald money.
Yeah,
they weren't going to pay that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. There's no way that they were going to give him what he wanted. Maybe they came to that conclusion. Maybe they were trying to get an extension worked out, and they realized he wants ridiculous money. There's no way we can afford it. We can't afford this guy who's a little, step down, but he's still, solid in some
Right.
regards.
Well, and look, and the thought was we'll have Solomon Thomas there for what Solomon Thomas is just a body, of course, but we'll have Nick Bosa, we'll have all this other stuff, and that'll help Armstead out. They were counting on the rest of the unit being there, and everybody fell like flies around Armstead, so he's the only guy. And of course, when you're the only guy, you're going to get focused on. So yes, he had a very bad year. I think a lot of that was because the defenses or the offenses were able to focus on him because he was the only one on that defensive line who was a name. Everybody else, it was just like, oh, let's roll DJ Jones out there, Ronald Blair, or Kerry Hyder, and they're like, who are these guys? So
that's true.
I mean, that's a part of it. Let's see what happens with Armstead, with the healthy Nick Bosa, with whatever they're going to surround him with, and then see if he's still there.
Yeah, last season he looked great, but like Matt said, he had fantastic surrounding cast. Without that, it's tough to produce similar numbers. You're getting all the attention, and I mean, like I said, they weren't going to be able to afford DeForest Buckner regardless.
Right.
Hyder or Watt?
I think Hyder's more realistic. I think Watt's better, even at his age. Yeah. I just think Hyder is going to be more affordable.
Release Jimmy G. What free agent quarterback would be fine for 2 years?
None with this fan base. They'd riot. Why are we trying to win? Get Kyle out of here. Fire his ass. Screw John Lynch. They don't even care. They're not even trying. This sucks. I'm going to be a Raiders fan now. There's no winning. Like, honestly, if they don't trade the entire franchise for Deshaun Watson or something like that, then the fan base is not going to be happy no matter what.
What's funny, though, is because even if they would do that, then the other half would say they gave up way too much.
Yep, exactly.
You traded my favorite player.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Oh, whatever the best move is to help us win, that's what I'm about. I'm about the team. I'm not about players.
Yep, Coach K, still with the Niners.
He's still with the Niners.
Bosa comes back. Armstead will be nice. He'll have some help.
And that's the thing. When everybody was why do you think Armstead got all those sacks? Because everybody was focusing on Bosa.
Yeah, Bosa, Ford, DeForest.
Easy when you go one-on-one and you're like bigger than everybody.
Afix 22, ride with Jimmy and possibly draft Lance or sell the farm for Watson.
I mean, define the farm. If it was 3 first-round picks, I'd get rid of the 3 first-round picks because I think that first-round picks are a little overrated. For a 25-year-old prime quarterback who can play in the NFL. Yeah. I give him 3 first-round picks, right? 3 first-round picks and Jimmy G out the door. Take it.
Farm. What if farms Bosa, Kittle, and 2 firsts?
I mean, that's a little too much. I think Bosa's worth 2 firsts on his own.
I was wondering where the line is drawn.
Bosa's worth 2 first-rounders on his own. Kittle's worth a first-round pick on his own, at least.
Charlie Baker. I like Ayuk and Kinlaw, but Armstead is better on the inside if we got another edge.
But they run a 4-3 base defense. So you can have Kinlaw and Armstead on the field at the same time and then run Bosa and another edge outside. I mean, if we ran back Bosa, Kinlaw, Armstead, and Hyder, would I mean, that sounds like a pretty decent defensive line to me.
Yeah. And, I mean, they were solid last season, even with all of the injuries. They were still solid without Bosa, without Ford.
Add back in Bosa, who was very disruptive. So
yeah. And, Charlie Baker, exactly. That's why Hyder was getting sacks, because they were triple-teaming, double-teaming Armstead. Givens greater than DJ Jones at nose tackle. Kevin Givens was good. I don't see him talked about enough, but he was good. Similar to Kerry Hyder. Sorry, guys, we're behind on these comments. What will take 1 year pick?
Damn.
What will take 1 year pick to go to a contender? Watch Ryan Tipser. We're still waiting to see if we can get Watson. If we don't, you can believe it will restructure Jimmy and then start signing our players, says David Yang.
Yeah, but they run the risk of waiting too long, which has happened before.
Why Niners fans are so uptight in an off season. I'm enjoying it so far with rumors and everything.
Because they're uptight about everything.
I was going to say,
I've watched 49ers Twitter throughout a game, right? That they're pretty much controlling from start to finish, right? They'll be up 14-0. Something like a fumble will happen, and they'll be like, "Oh, this team sucks so bad. We're gonna lose this game now. Can't believe they did that. Fire Kyle Shanahan." They just 49ers fans are very much up in their feelings, and I don't understand it, me personally, but I don't know.
I'm gonna say they're uptight in the on season. It's all season. There's no off season for them being uptight.
Dude, if the 49ers won the Super Bowl, they'd be happy for a day and then be like, God, we got so many free agents. How are we even going to repeat?
They'd be mad that they didn't win by 15 instead of, only 7 or something like that.
Someone would roll in and be like, still not as good as that 94 team.
More likely to get a new quarterback by trade or draft. I'd say draft. Will we be able to re-sign Trent? I don't know, man. It's going to be tough.
I don't 50-50. Think so. I don't think so.
Trade 2 first-round picks, throw in Kittle and Ayuk.
2 first, Kittle and Ayuk? No, thank you. That's too much.
Yeah. All in on Watson. If not Lance, yep. Andy Dalton with Kyle would be sufficient for a bridge quarterback.
No. You might as well just play Jimmy Garoppolo.
Or Rosen. I traded my mama before Bosa.
Is she on the block? Put her on the block, dude.
I put DJ Jones gone as well. Is he a free agent? That's a good question. I don't know. 49ers would have had Gronk and Antonio Brown. If we got Tom Brady, 49ers could have won the Super Bowl. What if? Maybe Gronk max. I don't think they would have gone Brown.
I don't know. I think they would have done Antonio Brown too.
You think so?
Yeah, probably.
Huh.
I think they would have. I mean, he was on his best behavior there, so.
That's true. As soon as he got signed, I mean, you didn't hear anything. You didn't hear anything.
I mean, it is kind of the hindsight does kind of suck on that one because Tom Brady was like, "Hey, you guys want me?" And they were like, "Nah, fam."
Yeah, I got to admit, myself at the time, I said I think Tom Brady's on a decline. I think Jimmy's on an incline. I think they're somewhere at the same spot, and it wouldn't be beneficial.
And here's the thing, too. Again, this is the hindsight thing.
It is.
Oh, my camera froze.
Yeah, you're frozen.
Oh my God. Kill me off.
Matt will be back.
Maybe.
It's just black for now. We're live, guys.
Things happen.
You want to leave and come back? All right. Yeah, I was saying I was really not sold on adding Tom Brady. Let's see. There we go.
There we go. Okay, let me get back to what I'm saying, though. So hindsight was really easy. We're just coming off a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, right? We just missed it. And people were like, why would we go Tom Brady, who's 42 years old, when we got the 28-year-old who just took us to a Super Bowl? I don't think a lot of people were actually wanting Tom Brady at that point.
Spinic danger. Kyle would never give up control, even to Brady. Ego. That's a good
also,
point.
By the way, behind our leaky interior offensive line, Brady would have got sacked a lot.
Yeah, the Bucks, they drafted first rounder. They forget the guy's name, but they addressed the offensive line. Tristan Wirfs, they Ryan Jensen center. They have a fantastic offensive line. Not only that, but he walked into Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, OJ Howard before his injury, and I know he wasn't great, but paired with Tom Brady, and then he had them sign Gronk and AB. It's a fantastic situation for Tom to go into. Bruce Arians with a fantastic offense for him. Arians let him have control. We've seen reports saying, look, Tom would come over to me and say, I want to do this. We need to change this to this, change this verbiage to make it more comfortable. And Bruce was like, do whatever you want to do. I'm comfortable with it. And look where it got them.
Well, yeah, and it took a while, too, because at first, the reports were coming out that they were butting heads. They didn't get along. And at that point, they were like 7-5. And I think Arians realized, like, all right, I really can't tell Tom Brady what to do. He's probably, good at this thing. So they put it together, and they were able to win the Super Bowl.
Yep. Nico Wilson, Jimmy G has a lot of talent, but ever since his first ACL injury, he hasn't been the same, but does know how to run the offense well and can sell the run great.
I think the line also has taken a turn since then, too.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep. DJ too cold. Let Jason Verrett walk. Sign Juice and Williams. Trade Armstead in a package for Deshaun. Save money for Bosa. Bro fixed everything.
Right. DJ too cold for GM.
Drafted Wirfs instead of Kinlaw. If we got Brady, probably.
Maybe.
Relax, our backup
Why would they change?
right
Why
guard.
would they change the plan off of the Super Bowl year? They were counting on Weston Richburg to come back. They still probably like. Why would they have drafted Wirfs when they traded for
Trent
Williams?
Yeah.
Like what they have McGlinchey there. So what would the point of being drafting Wirfs? They still, again, a first round pick on Wirfs or the third that they paid, the third and the fifth, I think, for Trent Williams. It's true. About how much capital are you giving up for what you're getting. And that's one thing that this regime does well typically is that when they trade, like to move down from 2 to 3 with the Bears, they fleece the Bears to move one spot.
Yeah.
So in that regard, they're good at what their valuations for moving are. They just haven't always been the best at picking the players, and they've been snake bit a little bit. I think that Reuben Foster would have been a really good pick if he didn't have those legal issues and the injury issues. I mean, you could say that about a lot of people. It's not Reuben Foster's issue is not his talent. Let's just say that.
No, I mean, they took a gamble on him. It almost worked out, and then it didn't. So, but while he was there, you got to admit he was fantastic. He was really good for them,
for sure.
Yeah. D. Philpott 49. Relax. If our backup center and right guard could have figured out how to punch Chris Jones in the dick one time, Jimmy would have been Super Bowl MVP. Are we still biased saying Montana is the best, or do we pass torch to Brady? We had this kind of debate with the viewers after the Super Bowl. We both kind of agreed it's Brady, but a lot of 49ers fans were kind of upset, and they were saying the eras, you can't compare them, and it's still Montana. I don't know, man. Brady's done a lot. And you can only judge a guy by the era he plays in and what he's done with it. He's done a lot. If people think Rosen can beat out Jimmy, they smoking rock. The talent's there. In a multi-universe, KC will be on a 2 Super Bowl losing streak. Oh, man. Yeah. Dude, somewhere, man.
Yeah. I will say, if we had the refereeing crew that they had for this past Super Bowl and ours, we would have won.
Yep. Yeah. So we're going to wrap things up here shortly. Send in whatever final questions you guys have. But I just think it's hilarious that they didn't have any of the penalties called on them that they did this year. And I knew it right away. As soon as they got called for holding, like for the second time, I'm like, oh, it's being called fairly. Like, this is how it should have been called last year. And what happened afterwards? You had Patrick Mahomes' mom and his wife come out basically saying they rigged the game for Tom Brady. All of these flags are ridiculous. This is a embarrassment of a product. It's like,
did you see where Mahomes came out and threw his linemen and his receivers under the bus?
I did not. What did he say?
He said receivers were not always running the right routes. He said the line sometimes let people through, sometimes they didn't. And it was just like even if you also lob a grenade at yourself, like you can't do that shit. Like you cannot say that about your teammates. You just, as the quarterback, you get all the glory, so you have to take all the blame.
That's
and
true.
He didn't, and I don't know, man. I think he kind of screwed that one up.
His family was even getting mad that ESPN was posting like pictures of him with the score on the bottom. They're like, this is a trash organization. You're doing this to one of the biggest faces in all of sports. It's like, yo, chill out. Like, it's a crazy moment. Nobody expected the Chiefs to be down this much in the Super Bowl. It's not that serious, man. Like, relax. They're kind of pompous assholes when they win, and they're sore losers. They're kind of the worst of both.
It makes Mahomes look really soft, actually.
It does.
To be honest. Yeah. It makes him kind of look like a bitch.
Yep. This comment's funny, though. The refs rediscovered their flags.
Yeah. They're like, oh, we got these. Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, like for me, that was a problem. Although, did you see when Tom Brady's final contract broke down because they won the Super Bowl that he actually made $28.3 million?
I did see that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, hilarious.
Karma, man.
Then he has so many Super Bowls. He was like, you know what? I'm gonna get drunk on this boat tour and just lob that thing from one boat to another. Savage. That dude.
You gotta respect it.
Savage. Anybody who hates Tom Brady is just mad at themselves for not being a success.
Yeah, that video of him walking out all hammered.
I
was cracking up.
Definitely off the avocado ice cream and the TB12 diet. He was not.
That was hilarious. He's all stumbling. Somebody's carrying him.
I bet you he was trying to go drink for drink with Gronk. I bet you he messed that up.
If we trade a first for Watson, solid quarterback in second round.
If it only costs one first for Watson.
Yeah. They would have made that already.
Yeah.
Will Jimmy take a pay cut? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Tough. I don't think he would, no.
I don't think so.
Corners deep in this draft. Mahomes is emotional and tired. Yeah, did you see he ran something like 437 yards?
497.
97.
Yeah. So they showed the run pattern, like the drop back pattern of Patrick Mahomes versus Tom Brady. Mahomes is like all over the place, and Brady's was like this big. Yeah, I mean it sucks, but dude, you can't as a quarterback, as the leader of your team, you can't throw your teammates under the bus. That's not acceptable.
It really isn't. No, like you said, you get all the glory, you take all the heat as well. It is what it is, man. I mean, You win as a team, you lose as a team. I didn't appreciate him doing that. I wouldn't have been happy if that was my quarterback coming out there. If Jimmy would have said, yo, if Emmanuel Sanders just lays out and even dives for that ball, maybe we win. Nah. It's like, no. That doesn't fly here.
Exactly.
Charlie Baker, no, we will get a safety, DB in the second or third. Troy Warner, Fred Warner's little
I'd be down to draft Troy Warner.
Yep, I like Troy Warner. Hell no,
if his work ethic is anything like Fred, he's going to be good.
Yep. Knowing how their pops is, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah.
Jimmy isn't taking a pay cut till his contract is over. Why would he? Unless they extend him. That's true. Why would he? We got to stop overpaying some of these players. Jimmy Armstead and Dee Ford.
They didn't overpay Jimmy. They got in at the right time. What he's making is actually middle of the road quarterback money now. So, if anything, if they don't find an upgrade, they're going to feel really comfortable.
How much he making? 500 mil.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick Mahomes, 400.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Mahomes, 400 million.
That's
to be
crazy.
Talking all that shit.
To be talking like that about your own. Oof, couldn't be my quarterback. I'd trade Bosa.
I don't know if you could get 3 first-round picks for Bosa. You could get 2.
Maybe 2. 2 in a second.
2 and change.
Yeah. Goff was making much more.
Than Jimmy, yeah.
Than Jimmy, yeah. Kittle for Watson, yeah. It's going to take more than Kittle.
They're not going to – they would never trade him to the 49ers. They would never trade Watson. Oh, Watson. I thought we were talking about Wilson still. I was reading.
I was like, what are we talking about? If he didn't tear his ACL, 3 firsts.
Okay. It's 2021. Nobody cares about ACL injuries anymore. They don't matter.
No,
he'll be fine.
Is crazy.
He'll be fine.
27 mil for Jimmy, not worth it. Not if he's not out there. If he's out there and producing.
If he's not out there. If he's out there, then yeah.
Pretty standard starting quarterback money, unfortunately. I think we're going to wrap it up, though, guys. Friday night, we both got to go be with our women, basically.
Yeah.
But we're going to record definitely some episodes of Niners News for you guys, so we'll have them out this week, Monday through Friday. 49ers should get early.
Fuck no.
Yeah. I'm all right.
Hell no. I'm good.
But I want to thank you all for tuning in. We are going to have a new podcast out with the 49ers Hive Network coming out soon, so be on the lookout for that. Also, we just redesigned our website, so go check out 49ershive.com. Let me know if you guys like it. Tweet at us, 49ers Hive. And we're going to have a handful of new writers joining the team. We're really excited for everything we're bringing you guys. So subscribe if you haven't. We're trying to get to 2,000 on YouTube. I think we're right around 14.
I'm really trying to get 100,000. I want that damn play button.
Yeah, get us 200,000
subscribers. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, that's our deal. But I really do thank you all for tuning in, and thanks.
We better wrap it up before Tommy Huxley gets in trouble.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next week. We'll do a live mock draft.
Yeah, we'll do a live mock. Go ahead, click the bell for notifications so you never miss a new video. Until next time, go Niners.